All right, cool. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Hello and goodbye, my friends. Welcome to Karate Without Belts post training talk podcast along. Um, I have no idea what to call this podcast anymore. It's just all over the place at this point. Um, my name is John. I am joined by the illustrious duo, Mr. Sal. I always forget this. Is it Belahi?
Wallahi.
Balahi. Sal
Yeah.
Balahi. Welcome, sir. Handsome as ever. Um,
Thank
and
you.
only matched by the bearded man in the sky. Flew in here directly on his private helicopter, uh, Mr. Dan Bernardo.
And you pronounced my name correct.
Because yours is kind of more phonetic. Like I can understand that a little.
Right? Doesn't it
Phonetic.
make sense? It totally is phonetic.
Yeah,
Then
I know.
why do
That's what
people
I
get it
said.
wrong all the time? Bernardino,
Oh,
Bernando, Bernardo,
yep. Oh,
all
yeah.
the time. All the
I
time.
can see that. I can see that. But my head's just reading it like
Yeah.
Bernardo, like Bernard.
Right.
Oh,
That
Like the way, like the way you pronounced my name, John. I mean, that's understandable. I get that one a lot. But some of the crazy pronunciations that people like, they throw in just extra consonants. I'm like, where are you getting that? Like, what?
yeah. Yeah.
try being
Yeah.
named John. Everyone tries to throw an H between the O and the N. I don't know. I'm a Jonathan, but
No.
yeah,
But I mean, that
my kid
makes
is
sense.
being named Maxentius.
Maxentius.
And he's gonna be born in Japan, so Maxentius Kun. Like he's gonna, it's gonna be great.
I always
Uh,
wanted to name my kid Luciano Vincenzo Bernardo. Like this big long Italian name, but my wife was like, no. And we had a girl, so it didn't matter. But
don't let that stop you. Uh,
yes,
what do
daughter,
you gotta
your
be?
name
Why do you
is
gotta be sexist?
Luciano.
We didn't like right before we started recording. You're like, it's the 23rd century. I'm like, that's probably wrong. But
Yeah,
how the hell are you
no,
guys doing? It's been a minute.
it has been, man. It has been.
Yeah,
I'm
doing
doing all
pretty good.
right.
Dan, I've seen recently, has been on more successful YouTube channels. Uh, it's actually a pretty good conversation uh, between you and Ken and Twari. So
That was a
Oh,
good.
yeah.
That was a good chat.
Yeah.
That was a good time. I was honored to be a part of that. Um, and I felt kind of odd because Ken's injury, like he wanted to talk about you know stuff pertaining to that, and I was like, well, I never really have had an injury like that, but here's my issues, like,
Yeah.
and it was, but it ended up being a really good chat.
Yeah. Yeah. I listened to that one on the way when we were driving back from out west. I enjoyed that one. That was good.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually a pretty good rapport you guys had, and it was like, this makes me want to keep doing this more regularly, even if it's not like every week or whatever. Like because for a long time it was like, how are we gonna bring it back? And it's just like, bring it back as you can. No one's getting paid right now, so. But well,
Just
I
get
just wanted to
paid in love, man. Paid in
tip the
love.
hat, and applaud the appearance and the comment. So
It's good. It's good. And I enjoyed talking to Tuari on his podcast.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah.
he's so much fun to to talk to. Um, but I mean, like, I remember my biggest issue, I think, with podcasts is I get lost, and my brain is like, and then I'm talking to people, and then all of a sudden I go, oh right, where are we? Like, even while I'm talking, it happens. Like, I noticed while I was talking on the podcast with Ken and Tuari, I lost myself. Like, I started going off on this weird tangent, and like I didn't even know where I was. and I'm listening to it going like, oh my god.
Dan, I think what you're describing is senility.
Well, I do have a genetic disposition to late onset Alzheimer's, so perhaps it is, who are you? Again?
It comes for us all.
Yeah.
It comes for us all at some point.
It's the baldness. I think that's what it is.
I mean, I think we're kind of right here. We're representing the stages. Sal is the oldest of us and has the most hair. I'm the youngest of us and have like a medium amount of hair. And Dan, your just hair won't go beyond your upper lip.
I ended
See,
up. So here's.
I could never grow what Dan has. So I mean, yeah.
I've seen you
never grow what you have.
Yeah, like
I started losing this in high school, man.
Really? Okay, then you. Yeah, I feel like us Abruzzians tend to have that happen. Happened to my grandfather. Happened to my brother. I think I kind of have too much variation in my genetics for that. At this point.
Yeah, I get it from my pap. I get it from the Abruzzo side. My dad has a nice full head of hair, and he's 70, right? Like, I mean, he still has his full head of hair, but not me.
It's all right. It's all right. This has been Hair Talk. Karate Without Belts.
Hair Talk.
Hair Talk.
Post-training hair talk. Yeah. The funniest part about that is the man that I get my balding from, he was a hairdresser.
Oh, wow.
That's a bit of a bitter irony, but not entirely. Yep. So let's get into kind of, I guess, one thing we wanted to talk about was just training in general this week and kind of the underlying basis of post-training and Karate Without Belts. It's the same thing, basically. Sal, how have things been going this week with you? Or recently, I guess we should say.
Sure. Pretty good. Haven't been able to get to yoga as much as I usually do. Things have been busy at work, but yeah, still getting in my regular karate training throughout the week, and that's been going fine. Nothing particularly, interesting to share. I've got a couple students that I'm working with right now that are getting ready to. I think one's going to test for Nidan next week, and the other one's testing for Shodan. Both this is in Kobudo, so I've been kind of working on with them to get them ready. So that's kind of where my focus has been recently.
What does a Udenshin Kobudo look like under you or with you, I guess?
Like, what are they learning, or what are they
like? Is there like a breadth of what's the breadth of curriculum? Is it like they have to know all the katas, or they have to be able to apply all of them, or they have to like what would be that? And even hearing like the Shodan Nidan difference, like
right. I'm changing things a bit because so they're not necessarily getting the same experience I did when I came up through the ranks on the Kobudo side, because I think we've talked about this, but it's been a while. There's just too many damn kata in our Kobudo syllabus. By the time you're testing for Shodan, there's like almost 28 kata. And so when I tested back in my day, I had to do I had to know all 28 of those, and we had to do applications, and we had to know their histories, and we had to know our Kihon and Kitachi and everything, right? So it was just very, very content heavy. But lately I've been focusing more just on quality. So they're not even testing the same kata that I had to. There's some that I'm not even really teaching anymore because it's just too redundant. So I'm really focusing more just on the quality of their kata, how they move, that they're moving functionally, and less about you got to memorize all of these kata and make sure they look crisp. Like that's just unrealistic when you only see them and when you only work with them once a week. I mean, they train on their own, sure, but that's far too many. It's just far too many. So dial it back a bit.
Do you feel
28
like
is a lot?
Yeah,
that's a lot for Shodan. And the entire curriculum, there's 57.
Jeez.
In a row?
Are they like? Kata. They like 3 moves long, like
no.
like Iaido?
No, that would be that would be different. You're right. Yeah, because our the Ido katas that I've seen in our dojo, yeah, they're pretty short by comparison. No, these are like long, complex, sai kata, bo kata, nunchaku, tonfa, kamas. Yeah. Thankfully, I don't know them all, but I'm starting to forget more of them. So, I'm pretty open with my students about that. Like, look, I can't teach this kata that's in the syllabus because I've honestly forgotten it. And yeah, it's just, I'd rather focus on things that they can retain, focus on things that are useful to them, and just really help them learn to move their body properly with their weapon.
That's good. That's good. What would you say now is like down to the cutback, or I guess, or like focus in now? Would you say it's more know something really well per each weapon, or know these like 3 kata really well? How would you?
It's for me, I think I was explaining to my students not too long ago that for me anymore, like I rarely do kata in its entirety anymore. I just work on sections of it or themes or principles out of it. Because to me, running an entire kata is like a benchmark for how you're moving, right? So when you watch someone do a kata, like I have no problem teaching an orange belt a 5th dan level kata, like an empty hand, like, because it's fine. One, I'm not going to test them on it. And 2, they're just going to look like an orange belt running a very complex kata. It's just going to expose all their flaws, right? And so I tend to focus more on how I move, that I'm moving functionally, moving from my center. And then my kata is a reflection of my state of mind. It's a reflection of how I'm moving. And so it's that's kind of where my focus has been, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do with my students is help them understand themselves, help them understand how to move any weapon, how to use their weapon properly, and then their katas, they'll look good, but I'm not as interested in the aesthetics of their kata as much. It's more about, are they moving functionally? Can they actually apply the weapon and not get knocked out of their hand or something?
That's it's pretty solid, and I think that's a really good thing to focus on nowadays, because I think a friend of mine recently picked up another weapon that he had never really had picked up before, and he just kind of had to do it via video. And I was like, wow, that's pretty solid for just that. But it's like, just memory is now being able to be preserved a little easier.
Hmm.
And so it's just the honesty to be like, yeah, I don't remember this. I have the resources to find it again. Focus on the more essential things within the actual training. I mean, that's definitely a balance find. So
Yeah.
balance find. Not sure if that's a term, but great to hear, man.
It is now.
Yeah, it's the analogy that I use a lot, and I I know Dan would probably appreciate this, is I look at it as if you want to learn a foreign language, right, you can go out and buy a phrase book and sort of learn what those phrases mean. And I feel like if you have too many kata, or you have whether they're long or short or whatever, too many, I did a Kempo system very early in my training where they had like, you had to memorize self-defense techniques. So for like every belt, you had to know like all these sets of partner drills, but they just call them self-defense techniques, right? But you weren't learning anything about how the body moves and how to connect your movements or anything. So you're basically just learning a bunch of phrases. You don't really know how to speak the language. You only know how to respond in the given circumstances that those phrases work. And I would rather you understand and learn the language so you can adapt it to any situation. But if you're just inundated with kata and all you care about is sort of memorizing it, moving on to the next belt, well, to me, you're not really understanding or learning the important pieces of the art, regardless of style.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, John and I have had that conversation before about martial arts being like a language, and how most people just memorize words.
Yep.
But they don't learn the
Yep.
language.
Yep.
Like I've been
John,
a special language teacher for 10 years or something.
Yeah, that was a good conversation. I remember that. That was a great conversation. I think
Go back to
and I think it's
episode
incredibly
65 of Karate Without Belts to hear that conversation.
It was a long time ago. Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Oh God, that was remember that time. It was like I recorded like 5 or 6 episodes within like 3 days.
Wow.
Sal, you were on one of them. Dan, you were on one of them. And yeah, it was just a lot. It was like I've this fever dream of recording podcasts, which might still hold up today. Who knows? It's only 2 years after. Dan, how about you? How have things been with training with you?
Things have been good. I've been, I guess the only thing really new with me, so I just finished my Italian stick instructor course.
Oh yeah.
As in teaching it or as in participating in it?
No, as in, so what I did was I put together a Google Classroom filled with essentially so I've created level 1. I finished level 1 of my curriculum. So the purpose of it and the goal of it is somebody goes through the Google Classroom, they watch all the videos, they learn all the things, they practice, they answer all the quizzes, they have an in-person or Zoom test with me. My goal really for a person would be about 6 months after, to accomplish this and to gain competency within, with all of the information available on the Google Classroom. And then they show me their competency, and then they get put into level 2. There will be 3 levels. So the first level is ambasciatori, which means ambassador. Once they finish and they become ambasciatori, they can start a club and start to train this with other people. Once they finish level 2, they are associati, they're associate instructors. And then once they finish level 3, they will be professore. They will have full licensure to be able to teach the system. So this is essentially my family legacy, so to speak, that I'm putting out there. I had a bunch of people interested in learning it and teaching it, so I said okay. So yeah, I've got a couple people already going through it.
Awesome.
So it's it took me a while to film everything. There's like 32 modules or something like that, or like there's a lot of information. So but that's what's new with me. So I'm been trying to kind of finish that up, and now I'm starting to work on level 2. So hopefully level 2 will be done in less than 6 months, so that there will be something for people to do once they complete the first level. And it will be. It won't take me 6 months, but yeah. So that's what I'm doing.
Cool.
So how did you structure, like, as I assume, the equivalent of keyhole, is there kata 2-person work? Like, what is sort of the principles of how you've structured it?
So yeah, so the section, so like there's 3 sections. Section 1 is essentially about the stick. So it's about the bastone. So I think unit 1 is about the type of wood and the size of the stick that you'll need. So there's a video talking about that. Talks a little bit about the history of the stick, where it comes from, what type of wood was classically used versus what type of wood you can use now. I think unit 2 is about the stick and body relationship, holding the stick, swinging the stick, hitting with the stick, guarding with the stick, walking with the stick, principles of yielding versus pressing, principles of continuous movement. These sorts of things are all in that first section in regards to the stick. And then there's the postures. So there's 7 postures, 7 fundamental postures, right? So the on guard posture, the ready posture, longa, finestra, so long, window, woman, flag, or pennant, iron door. So there's like these postures, and then there are assaulti. Assaulti are forms or kata.
Okay.
And I think I only put 2 of them in the level 1 because you don't need to do a whole bunch of assaulti. But the first one is just going through the guards. So it's 15 counts. So it's called quindici conte. It's 15 counts, and you just start from just kind of standing with the stick, and then going through all of the positions, and then you end up back into in guardia, and then back to standing. So like it's not like it's a kata, right? But it's a position flow,
Mhm.
really.
Yeah.
And then I think I just put in 1 bastone assaulti, which is I don't think it's very complicated. I'm trying to remember which one I put in there, but they're all kind of just relaxed, flowing movements anyway. And then you get into different what we call mulinello, or mulinelli would be the plural, which are just the twirling of the stick, so to speak, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I think I've seen you do some video of those.
Kind of like over the top like that.
So over the top like that would be eliches, and that is a kind of mulinel, but mulinels you could be figure 8s. So indietro and e avanti, so like forward and back, figure 8s. Eliches above the head. These are, yes, absolutely. Those are your mulinels. And then I go into footwork. So advancing and retreating footwork, positive and negative triangles. Those are what I've included in level 1. And then we get into 2-person work. So danza is what it's called in Italian, to dance. So as soon as you start meeting another person, they say you're dancing, right? So it's la danza. So basically how to deal with weapon line. And so beats, feints, holds, counter strikes, disengages. I think that's the main ones that I've included. And then I think I included a 1 or 2 2-person drills. Usually I think they were contracolpi drills, so counter strike drills. And then then I think I talk about tempo and measure. So I think I included the first 2 tempos. There are only 4, because there's only 4 times you can hit somebody, right?
Really? Only 4?
Yeah, yeah. So you're either the first person to hit, so we call this prima, or first time. So you're the attacker. So you've decided to make the hit the first time, right? Then there's half time, where as I'm trying to hit you, you hit me. So you hit me in half the amount of time it takes for me to hit you. And then there's single time, which means you hit me either at the same time as you're defending, or like with an actual block or with an actual parry, or with like a void, right? So like, but as my attack finishes, you're hitting me same time, right? And then
So
there's
it's like Tai Sen, Go no Sen. It's similar. Yeah.
yeah, same. And then the last one is what we call a dui tempo, or double time, where it's a parry repost. It's a block and then a counter. Those are the only 4 times you can hit somebody.
Interesting. I never really thought of it that way. It's just like there's only one of the guys on top of you, and he just keeps on hitting you.
But still,
How many
like,
times are we gonna count?
If he's hitting me, and then I eventually block it and hit him, it's double time, right? Like,
So Go no Sen.
yeah. So that's it. So it's either first time, half time, single time, or double time. Those are the only 4 times you can hit somebody.
The
But I think I only
you guys
included
on the podcast is to learn something from you.
And then I put in, I think, the first 3 misura, the first 3 measures. So out of measure, long measure, and perfect measure. So out of measure is essentially when you're so far away from the person that no matter how big of a step you take, you cannot hit them and they cannot hit you with their longest weapon. So out of measure, right? And then once you get a little closer, you're in long measure. So they can hit you by taking a big step and hit you with their longest weapon. And then you get into perfetto. Perfetto is perfect measure. I think in Japanese sword, it would be called itoma, one sword length.
Yep.
So how the kendo measure, right? That is perfect measure. And the reason it's called perfect is because you can't hit the other person by just extending your arm. You have to take a subtle step. You have to take a subtle step to be able to hit them. So you're still kind of out of measure, but you're really, really close. So it's that perfect measure. So I think that's pretty much it. That's level 1. So that should take somebody 6 months, in my opinion, to get the hang of, because there's a lot of working with a stick is seemingly simple, but most people want to swing the stick like it's a sword, and it is not. If you swing a stick like a sword, the stick will break. So, and you know, the Italian stick system is designed to be used against a sword, to be used against a rifle, to be used against a bayonet, to be used against dogs. So like if I take a sword, or if I take a stick and I try to block a sword with it, not going to work. So you can't use the stick like you would a sword. So it's a lot of people I think struggle with that, but that's where I'm at right now.
Cool.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah. I've never heard someone just like kind of come up. I don't want to say like how much of that was like stuff because I remember you talking about how you kind of gotten that from your grandfather. How much was that like stuff you'd worked on with him, and then how much was like research, and how much was like combining all the other martial arts kind of stuff you've seen over the years?
So you just asked 3 things. I would say probably even.
Okay.
So 33.3%. Maybe a little bit more of my own research and my own training, because my pap, you have to kind of remember, like my pap didn't teach me, right? Like it was, let's go in the backyard and stick fight. And he had me do stuff, but I wasn't paying attention, first of all, right? I thought at this point in my life, I thought that only Asians knew martial arts, right? So like I didn't think that he was teaching me anything real. Right? Like
problems of the media in the 1980s, yes.
100%, right? 100%.
In the United States.
So like I wasn't until I was in college that somebody told me, you know, we were talking about martial arts, and he was like, well, you know where that term comes from, right? And I was like, so my brain went, well, wushu, stamping, lance. Like I was thinking about the term, you know, and he goes, no, it's from the arts of Mars, the Roman god of war, martial arts, Mars. And I was like, shit. And he was like, yeah, dude. I mean, like there's tons of Western martial arts, and there's ancient ones too. Like
let's go.
The Italians had
the old gods.
He was like, dude, the Italians were the best fencers in history. And I was like, what? And so I started down this rabbit hole, and this was back in like what, 2006, maybe 2005, when YouTube was like, you know.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Get off the phone! I need to use the internet.
Yes. And
get off the internet. Your grandmother's gonna call.
And I found videos of Sicilian stick fighting. And stick fighting from Puglia. And I went, holy crap. That's what I was doing with my pap. Seriously? And he was already really old at the time. I could ask him like little things here and there, but I wish that I would have had the ability to ask him more. But like in Sicily and in Calabria and Puglia and Abruzzo, like they have bastone dances. Like at festivals, they take the stick and they whack each other with them. Like it's a part of their folk tradition. Like it's not even like a, you know what I mean? Like I
Same thing
didn't
in Okinawa.
realize
Same
that,
thing with bow.
right? I didn't realize that when I was younger. And so a lot of it really is my research afterwards and my fencing experience, just not
Yeah.
just with kendo, but or with iaijitsu, but also with I did fencing in middle school as well. I fenced epee and foil. So, just having this basic understanding, and then of course looking at the Italian manuals from the 1400s, 1500s, like Fiore and Vadi, and then there are stick manuals as well, like Giuseppe Cherry's manual, but like a lot of times that the stick was used as a way of developing sword technique. So it was like a practice weapon. It was a fundamental weapon. Whereas my family system was literally, we're farmers, we're shepherds, we have a staff.
And a fancy
Northern Italians were coming south to take over land. We're just going to defend our land. Like that was.
We are but
that was
simple
the
stick
purpose.
people.
Exactly. Exactly.
I saw those pictures you posted earlier or before, and just like everyone's got like a fancy hat. Like there's a buckle. It's and it's
Yeah.
all like like you just feel like that's out of just some fantasy book, and like, is this what people wore in Italy in 1705?
Yeah. Yeah. Which is kind of funny, but yeah.
Cool, man.
So
Cool.
so anyway, that's been my latest hyperfixation. So
All good, all good. That's kind of what,
That's really awesome.
yeah. To be able to like, I think some people would think that's like, oh, he's just making up his own stuff. Like, yeah, that's what everyone does. But
yeah,
like,
and I'm totally fine with that. And and I want to make sure that people are aware of that. Like this is I guess a family tradition, but it's very much mine. And I'm fine with that.
yeah, if you want to pass that on and show it to people, I mean, you're in the right place. You're in the right kind of form to do it. So,
And it's not like it's not like somebody can be like that's not real, like or that's like somebody can't come to me and be like that's wrong. It's like, no, I mean, like this is what my pap told me. And like my pap was a musician primarily, so like a lot of the terms are musically inclined. So like when we were talking about timing, right, like mezzo tempo, like these are musical terms. Like when he wants you to hit hard, he would say hit fortissimo, right, like hit hard. So like a lot of the Italian words that I learned from my pap were all musical terms. But because you have to make sure that you hit at the right time, you have to make sure that you hit in the right measure, that like these are all like it directly translates to music in so many ways, theory wise.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
So
cool, man. Cool.
so what about you, John?
Ooh, me. Oh God. Normally I get away with just saying, I'm just a guy, whatever. But in so I mentioned this about a month ago. Um, I did a podcast. We had our last episode. Is that a friend, old student of mine? Long story short, sent me a bunch of gear back that I had given him mainly because he had went off to college and then he went to had a whole life of his own. And his mom just kept Goku gear that I gave him, and I expected them to throw it away, and they're like, "No, we still have it. Just send it." And it was like, "Ken, great." Which reminds me, I need to send them omiyage, which it means souvenir in Japanese. I need to send them souvenirs from where I live right now. And just that kind of helped rekindle myself to be like, this was all the old dojo stuff that I had. And for a long time, I was like, I'm not going to ever open a dojo again. This is not what's going to happen in my life. And I'm just going to talk to people who run schools and stuff like that. I'm not going to deal with it. bloody bloobity. And there's plenty of people who've been in that position before, and I understand why. None of them who say it's running, it's a pain in the ass, because it's not a pain in the ass. It should not be. Anybody who says that, like, it can, there are pains in the ass about it, but it's like, running a karate dojo is a pain in the ass. If you say that, then you should not be touching this with a 10-foot stick. For me, it's always been, it's a blessing and a burden. And there's always things about it, but there's always, a common goal of teaching martial arts and building community. And that kind of inspired me to be like, you know what? It's something I can still do. And though I'm kind of in a very isolated area at the moment, that doesn't mean I can't do something. And for a long time, I was like, let's just do a podcast. A lot of people criticize me of just being like, we don't see anything on the podcast. And then I started doing it on video. It's like, it's just people talking. It's like, yeah. You want to just do karate? So, all right, fine.
That's what a podcast is, right? It's just people talking.
Right. It's a
what do they want?
audio talk show. Like, that's all it is.
They want to fight. They want us to have to eventually get to a point of Dragon Ball perspective fighting, I guess. But
That's
I
just too
Jesus.
painful.
Hmm?
I said that's just too painful. That all that screaming and vein popping and the Dragon Balls. No, I can't do that stuff anymore.
Kaioken times
Too old
10.
for it.
Yeah, that's another podcast for another day. First me and Dan need to fight over Dave Filoni. That's gonna be a separate thing entirely. But what? See, Dan's fighting himself. See, aren't you entertained? But I essentially just decided, you know what? It's time to kick the doors back open again. So I starting my dojo back.
Congrats, man.
Which is weird to say. It's very weird. It's like, thank you. It's a little nerve-wracking, but also like I have a friend of mine, I guess I can say my current partner, and we were talking about the Philippines, because that person's from the Philippines, and that was like, you ever do Arnis? You ever heard of Arnis? And like, yeah, I've heard of it, but I never really did it. I'm like, want to give it a try? And just scrolling through some videos of Remy Princess, I'm like, I did this from the time I was 14 until the 13 until the time I was like 18, and then some of the karate people were like, "Oh, training," and I was like, "Okay," and I was like, "Ah, but it was good."
I love
I just
Princess.
started doing the Arnis with her, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, I remember how to do all this." So, I haven't really talked to Arnis people in a while. I'm gonna probably be reaching out in the next couple of weeks, but our dojo is gonna have Arnis in it as well as Ryukyu Kempo Karate. And it's gonna have the Boga Kumite, and it's gonna have the Kobudo. It's gonna have everything. It's gonna take a while to actually get to the point of like actually having a space. Probably in March, we're gonna start looking, but obviously, as you guys know, as people who own spaces, the conversation about that renting and all this other nonsense, or all those other required things, takes some time.
It
But
does.
I was just like, don't wait until then. Just kick open the doors. People do stuff on Zoom all the time. Sure, you want to train on
Yeah.
Zoom? We'll train on Zoom. If you're in Gifu, Japan, which I can say without too much giving away of my exact location, we can train. If you're within that area, within an hour or two, and you want to train, cool. And Nihongo wakaru desu yo, so daigobu. That too, but that's a different issue altogether. So. I feel very, very, very self-conscious talking about this. I'm like, I never like self-promoting. I'm not that guy.
If you're not going to do it, John, who's going to do it?
Right, but
That's
it's like
right.
it's also like I have to like putting all these like pictures of me from like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 8 longer, just on this website I'm creating. I'm like, it's kind of like I kind of feel like a narcissist, but it's also like, this is what I did. This is
You have to
proof that I
do what you
trained.
have to do.
Yeah.
That's
Do what you
right.
have to do. Nobody listen. If there's anything that I've learned from running a martial arts school and teaching, is that nobody wants you to succeed
Okay.
except for you.
Interesting.
I mean, that's pretty much it. The majority of people, they may have good feelings for you, right? But they're not going to do any work to help you. They're not going to promote you without, perhaps wanting something. Like I don't know, like, just people are weird. You have to promote yourself. You have to. People don't care about you. Even if you have a student who's been with you for 10 years, they're not going to care about your business as much as you. They may care about it a lot, but it's still not going to be as much as you. Just nobody does. Nobody cares about your business as much as you. Nobody. Nobody cares about your system as much as you. Nobody cares about your teaching as much as you. Nobody. So put on that hat. Put the buckle with the buckle, right? Put on the cool looking hat and just and be freaking awesome. Like, seriously. Here it is. There it is. Bring it. Let's go.
Oh,
Let's
man.
go. Yes. Yes.
You've got it, Dan.
Yes. Absolutely. You see? This makes me want to train with you, John. This makes
Is it a banana?
I had to show the wife.
Is it a
Oh.
banana?
This is awesome.
Hi, Sal's
That's
wife.
amazing. He's waving at you.
Banana
Welcome to the
boy.
podcast. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Her name's Shay.
Hey, Shay.
She's killing
Good to meet
demons
you.
on Diablo.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But I'm serious. Like, if you're not going to put yourself out there, if you're not going to tell everybody how amazing you are, if you're not going to show everybody how amazing you are, nobody's going to do it for you.
No one's gonna put on a banana costume. If you have the banana costume, no one's gonna put it on for you. You've got to put it on yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is the Halloween. I work in a school, which in our village where I live, we had a festival that was like a month long.
I love that.
Like,
That's
or
awesome.
like almost like 3 weeks to a month long. Like, and it was about kind of the rice wine here. It's like natto, if you guys know what that is. You guys know what Japanese natto is? It's like you either
I'm not
love it or
familiar.
you hate it. Like, if you guys had this wine, you either really like it or you really hate it. It's kind of the same thing.
Gotcha.
And I was gonna wear this, and me and all the other teachers were gonna do a play, and then just influenza and corona tore through the school at this all this week. So we were gonna have like kind of a scaled back week, and then it just turned into fall vacation because just of that. So I had to go in every day
Wow.
this week, but you're absolutely
Bonkers.
right, Dan. And that's kind of the thing I had to like kind of get over. Knowing that and feeling like you have to put yourself out there. Putting yourself out there means you gotta get busy. Like, you gotta
Yeah.
get busy, not only hitting that street, but hitting the bag. You gotta get busy making sure you're good. And I gotta say, you guys have helped me both through your examples and through your. Hold on. I want to make emotional, like anything like that, and then also have banana cup. But like through your examples,
I just love you guys so much.
I've got the banana costume on. But also through your support. Like, that's the thing. That's true. I don't know why I'm like giving negative space to this whiteboard. But the fact that you guys have just like either in a very like oblique way, not oblique, in a very like out there way, Dan just being like, I'm gonna make memes of Kwang Hee, or Sal's just putting it out there of him doing the mace. Like, that is just, it's posting, but it's also demonstrating your training and getting it out there, and
Put in the work.
yeah, putting in the work. And I'm just like, I make a podcast. I'm like, nah, I can do that and do the actual thing. and it's taken me a long time to realize that different reasons.
I mean, everybody has their own thing. Not everybody likes to show what they do. I get that. I share videos of myself. I share things that I've been working on to keep me accountable.
Yep.
That's why
100%.
I do it.
Yep.
I know a lot of people. I mean, let's be honest. COVID really shined a light on how crappy a lot of martial arts schools are. Because they had to put stuff out there, and then it's not good. So like I need to make sure that I film, I share, so that I know that I look a certain way, and I can go back and see either progress or not. And if I don't
Yep.
see progress, then I know that I have to work. And that's
Yep.
all it is. It's really for me. If other people get stuff out of it, like, if you get influence out of it, or not influence, what's the word?
Inspiration.
Inspiration.
You're
You
inspired
get
others.
inspiration out of it. That's awesome.
Yep.
But I just gotta,
100% agree.
God, yep.
Also, I wanted to thank Sal. Boom, baby.
Nice.
Manjusai.
Oh, those
Based
are
on your
from.
recommendation.
You like them?
They're not bad. There's some kind of. I need the tines need to be a little white to kind of get some of the in. But it's otherwise it's fine.
Okay.
And like it's a really really good. Finally have Manjusai back, so I can finally practice it again and get good at it.
Yeah.
So I had a long-term lended my old Manjusai to somebody, senior, Jimmy Teller, and I just basically parted ways with them in 2019. And I thought he'd come back to Okinawa because that COVID and stuff screwed that up. So I just get mine leaving with him. Cool guys.
It happens.
This week is Karate Day. So are you guys going to do the 100 kata challenge?
I wish.
Ooh, that is. If it's not the age, it's senility. Oh, or the senility is the age.
The
Yeah,
last time, or so last year when we did it, it was on a day that I had a bunch of people in class, and that was great. But this year it's not going to be like it. Like here's the thing, I do 100 kata every day, maybe more, just because that's just normal for me, right? I mean, I teach at least, what do you call it? I mean, I teach, sometimes I teach upwards of 4 or 5 classes a day. So I teach a lot, whether it's Tai Chi or it's, karate or sword, or like tonight, I watched more, but normally I do it with them. So like, we were doing Katori Shintari with kata, and as you know, they're like 3-4 moves long, and we probably did 100 just in 45 minutes, right? Like it's not that hard for me. So like karate kata, I probably do 25 in the morning. I'll do another maybe 100 some in the afternoon. Like I teach plus the Tai Chi form, and I mean it's not hard.
okay.
Does that make sense?
That I get you. If it's your profession, if you're doing 1,000 kata a day for your professional life, it's not. It's cool to get everyone together to do it.
It is,
but it's also
Yeah.
But sorry, James. We do this professionally.
I wish that so like I said, like last year it was. So what day is it this year?
It is, unfortunately, it is like the 25th is a Wednesday, which probably is the day we're releasing this episode.
Yeah.
So it's like in the middle of
Right.
the week. So doing it.
So
Well, I
I
think a
don't
lot
even
of
have
people.
classes,
Yeah.
so
So I
like
think-
I can't.
I think what a lot of people are gonna do is probably end up doing it a weekend. Me and my buddy Raul. He's not back there. Stop doing that, John. But basically we're gonna. Yeah. We always get a good look at Dan's cutler, or not cutlery. Dan's fine
China.
dishes. Yeah, fine china. That's
I
what
wish
we-
I wish it was fine, China.
At least it's standard dishware. That's fine. But me and him are gonna do.
I have swords though. I have swords.
Nice. We're gonna do Tamari Seisan 100 times. I believe that's got it.
Nice.
Something else, but we're gonna do Seisan 100 times. We're doing it for the last 3 years together. Online. So, where like it's the same system. It's the same sort of Seisan. Oh, someone getting called from somewhere. Oh wait, I'm getting called.
You're getting a call. Somebody wants you.
Call is coming from inside the house.
Okay. Cool. That actually might have been a baby doing a butt dial. But before we wrap up here, guys, anything you guys want to talk about for what's coming up for you guys?
I think I have anything going on.
Dan,
Trying
I
to
know
think.
I know you've gonna jump on your plane and do that seminar with Keith again.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, so
But that's a
um,
little bit away. So I want to do a episode where you guys come back and talk about that. but
Okay.
You're doing the
Okay.
Universal
So-
Marshall thing again.
Yes, we are. Our third Good Marshals Universal Workshop weekend is December 1st and 2nd. So if you, whoever's listening, if you're able to make it to Columbia, South Carolina, that weekend, you're more than welcome.
Do it, Sal.
It'd be a lot of fun. If you can't make it, I'll be zooming again. I'm sure. We're gonna have Susan Kuo, the associate dean of the law school here at the university. She's going to be back doing another legality of self-defense lecture, and then crossing my fingers, there's a local nonprofit that works to fight human trafficking, and the CEO should be coming to do a lecture. So crossing my fingers, that should be a lot of fun. This year, or this workshop, our theme is going to be bridging. So bridging ranges, bridging measures, how to do so safely, how to do so within different styles and different systems, and how that is covered. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. So we're going to be looking at ranges primarily and how to bridge them. So that's going to be this workshop's theme. So I'm super excited about that.
Very cool.
I hope we can get you and Keith back on. So I want to just have Keith on to interview him because he's got like decades of knowledge and stuff, and I think that would be good. That would be cool as a separate thing.
I'll let him know. Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Sal's on his third Fanta, so cool.
Nice.
Well, guys, it's always good to have you on. Or always good to do this with you guys. Hearing your insights, hearing your voices, and get together like that. I hope we
Yeah,
can get.
always happy to do these. It's
Yeah,
great.
and I'm hoping we can do them a little more often. But hey, whenever we can.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm excited for your new dojo. And if there's anything I can do to help, let me know.
Thank you,
Likewise.
thank you guys. You're always great. Always great to talk to you. Sal, you were the inspiration for this morning's workout for me. So the maces, I'm Mason. I'm mini mace.
Good.
You're
Keep
big
it up.
mace. So we look to you for that. Guys, thank you so much. And everyone, happy Karate Day. And
Happy Karate Day.
it's
Happy
like
day.
Christmas, except there aren't presents. There's only sweat.
There's no presence. There's only presence.
That is a good way to end it. All right. There is only presence, friends. Be well.
Be
Keep
well.
training.